Hey guys, so today we're going to be going over what I think is the best bots for November of 2020. So you can rent these bots or buy them. Some aren't rentable, but a lot of these are. And there's a lot of big drops coming up, and these are the bots that I think would perform the best. The first sites that I'm going to go over is Shopify sites. And for Shopify sites, I think the three best bots are Cyber, Soul, and Balco. So Cyber has been very consistent over the past couple of years, and I think they're just untouchable. They're a really good bot, and their consistency is just very good on how they do every single drop. They do flop once in a while, but their devs are hardworking and they just always come back ready and prepared for the next drop. The next bot will be Soul. So Soul and Balco have been the two best Shopify bots recently, and they just go back and forth in taking stock. But Soul I'll put as number 2 because they're not as consistent as Balco, and Balco is way more consistent to me recently, and they take a lot more stock most of the times. But it just depends on the drop, and sometimes they'll push an update right before the drop and one bot will take stock. But those two are pretty similar, and those two are my top picks for Shopify this month. The next site that I'd like to go over is Yeezy Supply. For Yeezy Supply, a lot of bots have been struggling recently with some new firewall changes, but these three bots to me have been doing the best. So the first bot I'd like to talk about is Toru. Toru is basically a foot site and a Supreme bot before, but they've been really performing well on Yeezy Supply, and they've been taking a lot of the stock recently. The second bot I'd like to talk about is Polaris. So about 3 weeks ago, Polaris had their special mode clipped, which is a huge part. And then the next week after that, they had a checkout bug. So those 2 weeks, they absolutely flopped. So that's why I had them as number 2. But normally they take the most stock out of all the bots on Yeezy Supply. But with that, I think I'd put them as number 2 because their special mode could get clipped at any time, and that's basically what is best about them. And the number 1 bot to me right now on Yeezy Supply is Dashi. Dashi is a very consistent bot recently, and over the past couple of drops, Hunter the dev has been pushing out hot fixes. Those hot fixes are just amazing. I think for the naturals, I had 0 checkouts within the first 3 or 4 minutes, and after he pushed the hot fix, all of my tasks where they're already past queue, but all of my tasks got cookies and then checked out instantly. So I got 8 checkouts within maybe 30 seconds of the drop after that, and then I had a few more later on. So I ended up with 14 that dropped, and 12 of them were from Dashi and 2 of them were from Polaris. So that just shows the resemblance. I didn't run Toru for that drop because I didn't think they would do very good on Yeezy Supply, but they actually did. So next time I'll run my Toru on it and we'll see how it does. The next site I'd like to talk about is Supreme. So for Supreme, with their new changes, a lot of the bots are doing consistent or they're not doing good at all. But these 4 bots that I'll talk about, I think are doing really good right now. The first bot I'd like to talk about is Re.AIO. So Re is a low-key bot, not much people know about it, and they don't get that much checkouts, but they also have a really low user base. So every week in the Discord, the dev will post what the successful checkouts are and then how many users are running. So every week they get about 4 checkouts per user, and that's really good for Supreme. But I'll leave them at the bottom of the list compared to these top 3 other bots. The next bot I'd like to talk about absolutely took stock from the BOGO week, which is Cyber. Cyber, over the past years, they've been consistent on Shopify and Supreme, and you gotta hand it to them. Their devs are just incredible, and they just always get it done. So this next bot is MechPreem. MechPreem was having troubles at the beginning of the year. I don't know what they did to fix it or what it is, but now they only have a browser and a super mode. Last year they had a ticket API mode, which is really good, but I think it got clipped this year. So they only have browser and super as of right now, but they're still getting the most checkouts out of any other bot every week. They do have a little bit of a higher user base, but they are getting a lot of checkouts, so I'd rate them as number 2. And the number one bot this year for Supreme, in my opinion, is Velox. So Velox has been very consistent over the past 10 weeks so far now. After week 1 was when they flopped, they had checkouts every single week after that. They're probably the only bot with a working API, and that working API every week basically destroys. Last week they did have some problems, but even when they had problems with their ticket, then the browser mode still did well, so everybody still got checkouts. So basically, I'd rank that as my number one bot because of how consistent they are this year and how much checkouts they get per user. On the BOGO week, I think they had 6,000 or 7,000 checkouts and only 500 people running. So that is like really good because that is like 8 checkouts per user, and there were some people that hit like 100 to 200, which shows how good they are. But the bot is really, in my opinion, the best bot for Supreme right now. So this next category is foot sites, and foot sites have been putting up a lot of new like anti-bot measures with Datadome. But last week with Datadome, I think these bots did really well, and it's Rush, Kodai, and Torpedo. So those 3 bots stood out to me on the Mocha drop with Datadome. But these also next bots have been doing good for foot sites for a while now, so I wouldn't count them out. These bots are Ganesh, Toru, Re, and Nebula. So Re AIO is just like Supreme. They don't have that much checkouts, but they have a lot of they don't have a lot of running users. So they get a lot of checkouts per user. I think they had 3 per user on the Mocha drop. Nebula has been consistently good with all the changes. They even did well with Datadome, but not as good as the other 3. Toru flopped on the Mochas, but they've been a foot site bot for a long time now, so I wouldn't count them out, and they've been doing really good. Ganesh pretty much has been a good consistent bot, but it had its ups and downs, but right now it's one of the top foot site bots in my opinion. And then these 3 bots absolutely took stock from Datadome and the Mocha drop, which is Torpedo, Rush, and Kodai. Kodai had 12,500 checkouts, I'm pretty sure, and they have a lot of running users, but that's still considered a lot. And Torpedo had 2,500 checkouts, and they only have 85 users. So it went to about 30 checkouts per user, they said, and which is absolutely crazy, especially with Datadome, and all other bots are just not as good. And lastly, we have Rush. I think Rush had like a lot of users who hit 100 to 200 clips, and before the drop, they're saying that they had a captcha bypass, so they didn't have to solve captchas, and that worked out perfectly. They did not have to solve captchas, and they took stock. So those 3 are my top bots for Datadome, and those other bots are my top for foot sites in general. Thank you guys for watching, and leave a comment down below on what you guys would change, because I know everybody has their own opinion, and I want to hear your guys' opinions too. This is my list of what I think would do best in 2020 of November, and these are the bots that I'm gonna try and run. So I'll try my best. I was gonna film a live cop last week about the Mochas and the 380s, but it went horribly. I expected to hit a lot more, and in total I think I only hit 3 or 4 pairs of Mochas. So I mean, I hit 8 380s, so I filled all my slots, but for the Mochas I did not do that well, so I didn't really want to make my first live cop something of me not doing that well. And I also had trouble with the screen recording, but next week I'll get it all fixed, and I'll post a live cop for next week's drops. I know there's a lot of big drops coming out, and even if I flop, even if I don't get any, I'll still screen record it and I'll make it into a live cop for you guys. So thank you guys for the support, and I'll catch you guys next time.